You're terrible. Apologize to the chief right now. I had no idea you were this kind of person.
Lance, the chief, smirks behind Mike, the department head, who's disappointed in me. I threw Lance's cake, which he had given me as a promotion gift, into the trash. Certainly, under normal circumstances, my behavior would have been appalling, but I couldn't take it anymore. In a way, I guess you could say that I couldn't care less about anything anymore.
Sir, can you say the same thing when you see the plate under the cake?
To that, the manager said,
What?
And he raised his eyebrows at me. I am Dan, a 33-year-old company employee. I belong to the sales department of a small to medium-sized company. When I was a new recruit, I was worried that I was not suited for sales, but I was encouraged when I was told that you are always attentive and pleasant to talk to, when one of my clients said that to me. I still don't have confidence in my sales talk, but I'm going to keep working on it. I kept that feeling in mind and devoted myself to it day by day. I realized that it had been 11 years since I joined the company. I have gotten used to my job. I don't have any spectacular achievements, but I am steadily making some results.
Oh, Dan, you're being very gloomy today too. When you're around, the atmosphere in the department gets really gloomy.
As soon as I arrived at the office, the section chief, Lance, started talking to me in a loud voice. I was fed up with what Lance would say to me.
Good morning, Chief.
I greeted him with a blank expression, and the chief raised his voice in an exaggerated manner.
Ah, I'm gloomy now because of you. This must not be my lucky day.
Then don't talk to me is what I think in my mind. The chief came to this department about 2 years ago. He was normal for a while, but for some reason he started harassing me, and I am having trouble dealing with it. The reason he started to harass me is probably because I warned him that he was making a pass at a woman who works at the reception desk. However, I didn't want to believe that a man like him would harass me for such a petty reason. Now that the department head's seat is vacant, I can say that the section chief is practically the head of this department. The previous department head had been very good to me, but he had recently retired due to family reasons. Taking advantage of this, Lance does whatever he wants, such as saying something really bad about me loudly so that everyone could hear, and blaming me for his own mistakes. Sometimes Lance would even force me to work overtime in an unreasonable way. The other coworkers either turn a blind eye or get in on the chief's shenanigans. I have friends outside the department who sometimes listen to me complain and relieve my stress, but there was a time, of course, when I was so fed up that I thought about getting a new job. I had been invited by a friend to come to his company for a while. However, I was so busy that I kept thinking about it, but then would stop thinking about that, and it was an ongoing cycle of that. Maybe my mind was paralyzed by the workload and the harassment I was enduring, but I tried to look up and be positive. A new department head would be coming soon anyway. Rumor has it that he is a man of good work and good character, as was the case when the previous manager was in charge. The section chief would not overtly harass me when there was someone above him. I secretly held out hope and turned on my computer. The new department head, Mike, is as serious and sincere as the rumors say. He pays attention to details and treats us employees with care. It has been almost 3 months since Mike moved to the new office, and the harassment by Lance has decreased considerably, making my time there more pleasant than before. However, just because the blatant harassment has decreased, the harassment itself continues, such as Lance hiding my personal belongings and saying something rude as we pass each other. I guess that's because work-related harassment runs the risk of being immediately noticed by Mike. I wish Lance would just stop all of his bullying. I think I should change jobs after all. Mike is a nice guy, but as long as Lance's harassment doesn't stop, the stress just keeps piling up. When I was thinking about getting a regular job again, Mike called me in.
You have a reputation among your clients for always being polite and attentive to details even when they are not related to your work. I had only been with the company a short time when I was transferred, but I was impressed by your earnestness."
I didn't understand the meaning of what Mike was saying. He began to smile at me.
"You should be receiving the letter of appointment soon. Congratulations, you've been promoted as the leader. I heard that the previous manager had been pushing for your promotion to be a leader for some time."
The unexpected words made me freeze, and I said, "Thank you very much for your recognition," and shook his hands. It was the first time I had ever been told something like this, and it gave me hope that I could still do my best. I was thinking about changing jobs just a few minutes ago, but I couldn't help but be happy about this news. On my way back to my desk, Lance saw me and glared at me. As we pass each other, he places his hand on my shoulder.
"You've been promoted as the leader, huh? Congratulations. That's great, isn't it? You're the leader, huh? I guess then you'll be the next section chief? Please, don't push me to the side, okay?"
His tone is joking, but his eyes are not smiling at all.
"Oh, no way, sir. I'll do my best in the future."
I replied awkwardly, and he nodded his head and walked away. At that moment, I had a flash of realization. Yes, being a leader means that I will be working under the direction of the section chief in many situations. The leader often stands between a section chief and his subordinates. The word promotion had been making me happy, but it brought me back to reality at once, and I went back to my desk and held my head in my hands. And a few days later, as soon as it was time for break, Lance came to my desk. As I was getting ready, he smiled at me and said,
"I prepared a cake for your promotion. I know you have a sweet tooth, don't you?"
He puts a wrapped box on my desk. It is indeed my favorite food, but the fact that the chief is bringing it to me is scary.
"I haven't gotten my letter of appointment yet,"
I say, but he shakes his head.
"Come on, it's already decided, isn't it?"
My colleagues gathered around and agreed with him, saying, "That's right." I glanced over and saw Mike smiling at me. Mike knew nothing about what was happening between Lance and I. Lance and everyone else were smiling, but I knew that this was the look Lance always had when he was harassing me.
"This cake is worth $500.
I was so taken aback by his smugness that I couldn't help but raise my voice.
$500? Well, it's a small price to pay for a nice subordinate like you."
The people around me were saying, "That's what I'd expect from you, Chief." They were all praising for Lance. Someone said,
"Dan, open the box."
And then Lance forcefully pushed the box toward me.
"I'm so embarrassed. Go home and take your time eating it." "Oh, thank you very much. Then I'll take it home and eat it deliciously."
So I get up from my seat saying,
"I'll put it in the refrigerator in the break room."
I check to make sure no one is in the break room and open the box, and what I saw next made me completely speechless. There is indeed a cake inside, but it looks nothing like those cakes that was sold in the store. Lance probably bought the pre-made cake layer and he just decorated the cream on it. But that's not important. What matters is the large amount of almonds on top and the words written on the plate. "Suffer. You better quit." These words were written in chocolate on the plate. I remembered that I had told Mike and my coworkers at a party a while back that I was allergic to almonds. I didn't think that Lance would really want to congratulate me, but I didn't think he would harass me in such a terrible way like this.
"So this is the $500 cake, huh?"
I took out my phone, sighed, and took a picture. Then I put the phone away in my pocket and shoved the cake into the trash can, letting my emotions get the better of me.
"Do you hate me that much?"
I know in my head that it's not right to mistreat someone's gift and food like that, but my feelings were out of control.
Dan, is something wrong?
At the worst possible moment, I heard Lance's voice and I froze. Lance, who had guessed this situation by alternately looking at me and the trash can, began to open his mouth.
Ah, you saw it, didn't you? You couldn't wait any longer, could you?
I felt that something bad was going to happen as Lance took a deep breath and raised his voice.
What are you doing, Dan?
At Lance's loud voice, all my colleagues and Mike gather in the break room.
What's the matter, Lance? Shouting so loudly like that? Dan trashed the cake I gave him.
In response to Mike's question, Lance sadly points to the trash can in the break room. Mike, who looked a little angry as I expected, begins to yell at me.
How terrible! Apologize to the section chief right now. I had no idea you were this kind of person.
Lance, the chief, smirks behind Mike, the department head, who's disappointed in me. I threw away Lance's cake, which he had given me as a promotion gift, in the trash. That's a fact. Certainly, under normal circumstances, my behavior would have been appalling. But I couldn't stand it anymore, and I didn't want to put up with it. In a way, this cake made me feel like I didn't care about anything anymore.
Sir, can you say the same thing when you see the plate of cake?
Mike said, huh? As he raised his eyebrows at me.
You can't even see the plate because it's all messed up.
I shook my head at what Lance said.
Not really. In fact, I took a picture of it.
Saying that, I took out my phone and had Mike take a good look at the picture of the cake I had just taken. I'm really glad I finished taking the picture before the chief came over. The section chief then let out a small
crap.
Then Mike silently takes off his jacket, rolls up his shirt sleeves, and sticks his hand in the trash can. He then picked up a few pieces of the broken plate and laid them on the desk. There were a few missing parts, but the plate was on the desk with almost the same words as the picture. The simple words, "Suffer, you better quit," seems to say something. Suffer from allergies, you better quit the company. I guess that's what it meant. Mike slowly turned around and quietly said,
It looks like you're the one who should apologize, Lance.
As if this was an opportunity, I said this sadly.
The chief knew I was allergic to almonds, and this is just too much. If I'm not careful, it could kill me.
Then I continued.
It's true that I shouldn't have mistreated the food, and I regret that I was so emotional about it. However, I have been enduring harassment from the section chief and my co-workers for a long time, and I have reached the end of my patience. I had revealed that I had been harassed by Lance and his cronies until now. After washing his hands covered with cream and almonds under the sink, Mike stared at Lance with a sigh. Perhaps thinking it was a bad idea, Lance began to rant and rave. Dan, what the hell are you talking about? I just thought it was a good opportunity for me to help you overcome your allergy. And it's outrageous that you thought I was harassing you. I'm sure it's all a misunderstanding. I always act with you and everyone in my mind. Do you have any proof that I'm harassing you?
I try hard not to laugh at the way he stammers out bitter excuses. His excuses are too bitter, and he really doesn't take my allergies seriously. In the first place, Lance must have been hoping that I would see the cake after I got home and, if possible, resign from the company due to mental shock. I mean, didn't he say it was a $500 cake?
It's homemade no matter how much you look at it, right?
The section chief responds to the whispering of employees around him.
What? Of course, it means that my handmade cake is worth $500, duh. It was prepared by the boss to reward his own subordinate.
As the section chief piled on more bitter excuses, I couldn't help but giggle. I guess he wanted to impress people around him when he lied about having prepared a $500 cake. I mean, Lance did look like he was in a good mood after being praised a lot by his colleagues for the cake.
I have plenty of evidence. I have recordings, documents, and photographs, thinking I might use them someday. The photos I showed Mike earlier were taken as part of that process. I didn't have the courage to do so, and they just kept piling up. So this is a great opportunity for me to submit them to the department head later. Yes, I will take a good look at them.
Mike's words drew gasps from the employees around him. It was only natural. Many of my colleagues were involved in harassing me in order to get on the good side of Lance. Among the evidence, of course, there were many voices and photographs of such people. I didn't keep records in the beginning, but that was probably more than enough. As for the coworkers who turned a blind eye, it may be difficult, but since the story has become this big, I don't think there will be no blame whatsoever. To me, both the person who harasses and bullies and the one who turns a blind eye are equally guilty.
You've got to be joking, right? I was just trying to be your boss, educating subordinates like you. Damn it! I can't allow you and Amy, the receptionist, to be dating. You're just an introvert. Why can't she see that I'm much more mature and attractive than you? My clients make fun of me, saying that you're more witty than me. Even the previous manager thought very highly of you, and I didn't like you for a long time anyway. You're so annoying.
He seemed to be trying to make excuses for his behavior, but the chief's true feelings were revealed in the middle of his speech. I frowned at what Lance had to say. The receptionist, Amy, is a female employee in her 20s who works as a receptionist. We have been good friends ever since we met again at a blind date invited by a friend from another department. She sometimes invites me out for dinner, but unfortunately we are not dating. We talk about our problems and complaints about work to relieve stress. According to the chief's comments, it seems that she was a big part of the reason for his harassment to me. To begin with, the section chief is married and I am sure he has a daughter in her 20s. I wonder what in the world he is thinking when dealing with a female employee who is close to the age of his daughter.
I'm not dating Amy, and it's completely selfish of you, sir. I was just trying to do my best at work every day.
In response to my words,
"That's what I don't like about you,"
is what Lance shouts, and tried to grab me. As expected, my coworkers said, "Chief, you can't do that," and they rushed to stop him.
I couldn't think of any reason why you were harassing me. I was worried about it all the time. I thought maybe I did something without knowing it. But when I heard the actual reason that you just had a grudge against me, to be honest, I was surprised. Oh, and about Amy, since she was worried that you were being so persistent, please stop making a pass to her.
At my words, I heard one of the female employees say, "Chief, you're creepy." Then Lance glared at the crowd of colleagues. And just as Lance was about to speak, Mike, who was watching everything between the both of us, interrupted him.
"Lance, this is not looking good. You seem to think that allergies are nothing, but if you're not careful, it could kill you. My wife is allergic to carrots, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. Besides, I'm filled with disbelief that other colleagues are also involved. Why didn't anyone stop it?"
Now that Mike's anger has been directed at them, my colleagues have all gone quiet, and there is no one to protect the section chief anymore. Lance is biting his lip in frustration.
"I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening, even though I've only just been transferred. It must have been hard for you."
I shook my head at the manager's apology.
"No, there's absolutely no need for you to apologize. I've gotten over it, or rather, I feel really refreshed. In a way, it may be thanks to the chief's cake." As I glanced at the chief as I said this, he must have misunderstood, but his expression brightened. I think he was just reacting to the words thanks to the chief. However, the moment he saw my expression, he turned pale. Later, Mike reported about Lance's harassment to his superiors. As a result, Lance and other of my colleagues were punished with transfers, demotions, pay cuts, and warnings accordingly. I have now resigned from the company and I am helping out at a video game company that a friend of mine founded. My salary has been reduced, but I enjoy working there every day.
And because I quit that company, I was able to make up my mind to sue Lance. I imagine he must be having a hard time now that he has been demoted and transferred, and is now being sued by me. I am currently in discussions with my lawyer for it, but it may only be a matter of time before Lance quits the company. When I turned down the promotion and made up my mind to quit the company, I apologized sincerely to Mike, but he shook his head, and instead of getting angry with me, he gave me words of encouragement.
I will beat everyone's guts back into shape. Don't worry about here. You do what you want to do. I will always support you.
I really appreciate the department head. I don't know what will happen with my current job, but I want to grow into a man like Mike.